When we sin against the holy God, we trample on his grace. When we sin against the holy God, we trample on his grace. His holiness demands perfect holiness. That's why we need the gospel. That's why we need the righteousness and holiness of Christ credited to us. We cannot live the perfect sinful life required by God's law. We cannot, by our own will, avoid the wrath of God. His just nature requires justice. Sin must be punished. His wrath must fall on all who disobey. But here's the wonder of his grace. God himself provided the way of escape. And his name is Jesus Christ. He bore the wrath we deserved. He clothed us with his righteousness. And when we sin after receiving grace, we treat the grace of God as something cheap. We trample on the blood of Christ that bought us. I want you to think about the cross upon which Jesus died. It was for you he suffered. It was for you he cried. It was for you his blood was shed upon that tree. So when you give in to temptation, remember that your sin desecrates the sacrifice of Christ, his grace, his mercy, and his love. Think of the Savior hanging upon the cross, and perhaps you'll pause before you stop on the grace that saved you. Paul said, are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? By no means. Romans 6. Therefore, we must daily pursue holiness. Don't treat the gracious, holy, loving gift of salvation as something common or disposable. God calls his people to consecrate themselves, to be set apart for his glory. Israel stood at Mount Sinai, trembling before the thunder of God's presence. They were told to consecrate themselves, to wash their garments, to abstain from sin, and to be ready for the third day when the Lord would descend upon the mountain. That same call echoes through the ages to us. Peter takes up the very theme when he writes in 2 Peter 3, since all these things are thus to be dissolved, what sort of people ought you to be in lives of holiness and godliness? Waiting for and hastening the coming of the day of God. The question Peter asks is the same question in Exodus. If God's coming down, how should we live?